I always felt like there wasn't a place for me. I felt that I was a burden, I was in the way, that I was never really chosen.
I have a guest today. Her name is April Garcia. She's worn a lot of hats: occupational therapy assistant, Reiki practitioner, travel entrepreneur, nonprofit founder. But the one she's most proud of right now is her debut memoir, The Room to Be Brave. It's a raw, deeply personal look at what it actually takes to break generational cycles and rewrite your own story.
There was no part of me that wanted to die. What I needed was a fucking minute. It had all become too much, and I didn't think I could clear my head, and I just needed silence. When those experiences happen, they develop those belief systems in you. And then your belief systems create your behaviors and your patterns, right? How you present yourself in the world.
The highest vibration is truth. Like when you can just be raw and just tell the truth. That's it. It's the pathway to all freedom, right?
The love that we're looking for in other people and other things is the love we're supposed to find in ourselves. Because I've done talk therapy and I've done meditation, I've done Reiki, and I've done all of these things, and nothing alone helped.
No one's going to help me. Like no one can. And it's the scariest moment. But then
the hero that you're looking for is you.
Yes. Hey, guys, how are you today? I have a guest today. Her name is April Garcia. And April Day Garcia has worn a lot of hats. She has a really cool and inspirational story, but it's also rather moving in regard to her personal experiences and her recovery on the way out of her childhood difficulties. And I'm really looking forward to our time together just because of the book she's written and the way that she sees healing and recovery. She's worn a lot of hats: occupational therapy assistant, Reiki practitioner, travel entrepreneur, nonprofit founder. But the one she's most proud of right now is her debut memoir, The Room to Be Brave. It's a raw, deeply personal look at what it actually takes to break generational cycles and rewrite your own story. That is what we are all about here at Lager Counseling Services. So I'm so looking forward to that. She uses the metaphor of rooms as she takes readers back through the places she's been avoiding, because she discovered that sometimes the only way forward is going back. Now 18 months sober, and possibly longer because this bio may be a little outdated. She's living on Long Island with her husband, Rick, and daughter, Bella. April built her life around one core belief: joy isn't something that happens to you when things get easier. It's something you choose, especially when things are hard. I love that. She calls it her Find Your Joy project, and it shows up in everything she does. April writes and speaks from the kind of honesty that makes people feel less alone, and talks about bravery, healing, and what it really looks like to choose a different story. As soon as I read about April, I definitely wanted her on the show because it aligns so much with what we believe here and what, my whole mission is. And I have watched, professionally as a therapist, I have watched the power of going back into those old rooms, like April will talk about, from our childhood, and actually dismantling the story from an adult perspective and rewriting it. And I've done it myself. I went into my childhood home as, a lot of my issues came from the childhood home I grew up in. And I went in there in my mind as an adult, and I completely renovated the house because I was having a recurring dream of like running from window to window, trying to lock it while people were trying to get in from the outside. And my mother was just oblivious to what my terror and me trying to protect the house and everything that was going on. And I decided to, instead of being a passive recipient of that dream throughout my life, to go in and to literally go in and say, no, It started with me wanting to put locks on the windows. So I was like, I'm going to go in there and just put locks on the windows. I'm going to make my home a safe place. I'm going to make my home a place that I can be proud of. And I went in and I did that in my mind and I stopped having that dream. So that's just, we'll see if this is anything that resonates what April, talks about. But I'm very looking forward to her and what we're about to embark on. So without any further ado, here she is, April Garcia. Hey, 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 guys, how are you today? It is Alison from Alison Answers and Lager Counseling Services. As I mentioned before, because I did the bio earlier, this is April Garcia, who is a really cool guest for me. And as I mentioned in the bio, that why it means so much to me is because I believe our whole mission here at Lager Counseling Services is to uh, help people rewrite their story and build a better, happier life. And I believe that April has done that in her own life. And she shares this in this amazing book. And I love the title. I don't care what anyone says, The Room to Be Brave. Like, who doesn't need the room to be brave? In every way. So I just want to welcome you. Thank you so much for being here. It's such a pleasure to
Hi.
have you.
Hi, Alison. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Yes. So can you tell us, walk us from, I know that this book begins in your early childhood. So kind of let us know what made you decide to write your book and
Okay.
what are the elements of it that you feel like are really important and moving to you?
Absolutely. So this book has, you're right, it starts my very early from birth, honestly. It starts right on that first day and it covers really my entire life, which is 47 years. And that, well, it sounds daunting and like a really detailed book. It actually covers the biggest moments of my life that shaped who I am today. And the way that I guide the reader through those moments is to actually bring them into the room where these experiences happened. Because I had a lot of experiences that were difficult and things that I really needed to overcome and heal from, a lot of significant traumas, whether it was, a tough childhood or I had medical trauma in my 20s and 30s, and I made a lot of poor decisions as an alcoholic. And there were all of these things that I had to go back and heal from. And this book and writing out these stories is me explaining to you how I did that and
Mm.
how I actually returned to the rooms that shaped me with that bravery and clarity of my new sobriety in the last 18 months. And I was able to sit in those spaces with the parts of me that I had left there to heal her and bring her forward.
I love that.
So
Yeah.
thank you. So there was a lot of, so the book is broken down into five parts, and the first part is my childhood and just the different things I had to overcome. I was in a very unstable home. My mother had a lot of really mental illness, nothing diagnosed, but I think it stemmed from her own traumatic childhood. And so there was abuse in the home and instability. And then as a teenager, I turned her into the police and had to be a ward of the state for a little while and deal with the fact that my brother at that time was like, you broke our family. And so at 14, I'm kind of trying to wrap my head around the fact that I had broken our family, quote unquote. And now that particular situation, I had never gone back and looked at or sat with that girl. So I was
Mm.
carrying the feelings of that trauma my whole life,
Wow.
which no wonder I drank. And there are a lot of
Yeah.
situations throughout my life that I did that with. And I just kept pushing forward. It just kept pushing forward into the second chapters when I got married and I moved to
Can I
Iowa.
stop you? Can I go to the
Oh,
first
yeah.
chapter? So now
Yeah,
when you're
absolutely.
14, you're 14 and there was developed some belief about yourself, some identity that you carried forward. What, I mean, I know what I would imagine it was, but what was it for you? Was it like just always white noise, like I'm guilty or I'm wrong? Like how did it
I,
manifest itself?
I was a burden. I
Yeah.
felt that I was a burden. I was in the way, that I was never really chosen.
Mm.
that my mother chose a lot of times her own personal life over her children and would drop us with other family members to take care of us. And then, as soon as we got settled and we were happy, she would come and take us back.
Mm.
And then it would happen, the cycle would happen all over again. And we'd be home for a little while, things would get unsteady, things would get a little more violent, a little more destructive, and then she would send us off again. And so I always felt like there wasn't a place for me,
Mm.
right? So if I was living with a family member or living with my mom or whoever I was living with at the time, I always felt like if I wasn't good enough, I would be shipped off again, or I would be returned to my mother. I would be shipped off to another family member. So I never felt like I belonged anywhere or to anybody. So I
Mm.
never had the roots or believed that I deserved any.
Wow. Wow. And when you had that experience of being the one, who had broken the family, that sense, like, did you live with the guilt of that or the confusion of that?
A lot of confusion. And I did feel, as my brother and I are a year apart, and we grew up together side by side in all of that instability. We were best friends and, partners through everything. So having me step out and turn our mother in, and then him feel almost the rejection of that as well, it broke our relationship, and it was never really healed from there. So I did carry a lot of guilt for that for a lot of years,
Wow.
and a lot of guilt, because who turns their mother into the police, right?
Right.
What kind of a monster,
Mm.
right? But I felt like it needed to be done, but to be the one to have to do it was heartbreaking.
Yes. Yeah.
So the guilt was very real.
Yeah. And you've overcome, I don't want to say the word overcome, but you've moved through, the feeling of not belonging and guilt. I know you were going to go into the next chapter. I could let you do that,
That's
but
okay. No,
I am curious about, like, just because I feel like I'm sure built on the next part of your
yes.
life. So,
Well,
like,
that
yeah,
I feel like when those experiences happen, they develop those belief systems in you. And then your belief systems create your behaviors and your patterns, right? How you present yourself in the world. So, of course, if you feel, or as I was feeling, that I wasn't worthy, I was putting myself in situations that you would put somebody you don't think is worth anything,
right,
right? So I was drinking a lot and promiscuous and a lot of dangerous situations because I didn't carry any value for myself
right,
because I didn't think there was any.
right.
So it definitely transitioned into my teens, my 20s, my adult life, into those behaviors of how I was treating myself.
Yeah, yeah, makes sense. So I'll let you go on because
Oh, that's great. Okay,
I
so
could keep going, but I won't. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, so I ran from California to Iowa. I should say I grew up in California. That's where I spent all my time with my mother. Then I moved to Iowa just to get away, and I spent
What
eight
made you
years in
choose
Iowa.
Iowa?
I know, right? It's
I'm
you
curious.
throw a dart at the map. I
Did
had
you?
one. No, no, God, could you imagine? No, I had a friend in high school who moved to Iowa, and we
Okay.
were essentially like internet pen pals because this is the early days of dial-up internet, and we would AIM chat, and we would email each other. And when I decided I just needed to get out of California, it was the only place I knew somebody. So
Yeah,
I hopped
yeah.
on a Greyhound bus. I had two suitcases and $9. I was 19 years old, and I was like,
Wow.
I'm out. And I left.
Wow. Yes. Yeah.
So yeah, I moved there in when I was 19, and I got married right away. I met somebody. We were married 2 months, 3 months later.
Wow.
And yeah, he was a wonderful, very nice man, just not my man. So we were together for 2 years, and then we split up, and I got sick with meningitis and had to fight for my life. And
Yeah.
that was such a significant setback and traumatic event and
Mm.
turning point in my life that the recovery for that, I feel like there are still things 26 years later that I'm still processing from
Really?
that year. Yeah. A lot of them I've gone back and sat with and healed from, but occasionally things will creep up, mostly like a PTSD from the medical trauma
Yeah.
from the meningitis.
What was
So
your, were you afraid was the trauma that you were afraid you were going to die? Were you in pain? Like what?
all of it. Yeah. I went
Mm-hmm.
into the emergency room. I was 22 years old. I had been sick all day, just really sick, high fever, vomiting,
Hmm.
diarrhea, the whole thing. My friends took me to the emergency room because I was starting to see double and I was declining pretty quickly. We really thought I had the flu.
Yeah.
And the next morning, they admitted me to the hospital. And the next morning, I was coding that they rushed me to the ICU. And I was in a coma for 5 days, was on a ventilator.
Wow.
And ended up spending the next month in the hospital. At the end of all of this, I was down to 95 pounds. I couldn't walk. I lost four of my fingers. I had amputations. Yeah, and it was about a year to recover. What's interesting about that particular time, though, is I was taken back to California to recover.
Mm.
So I went home to stay with my mother, and I couldn't take care of myself because I was so weak and everything recovering from the meningitis that my mom, who I had this difficult relationship with, now had to be my caretaker. And at 22 years old, I had to be vulnerable and helpless and let her take care of me and be the hero in that moment. What a weird dynamic to have to sit
Wow.
in
Yes.
when I hadn't healed from any of the stuff that had happened in my
Yeah.
childhood. And
Sure.
now I have to sit in this, she has to be my safety and my support. And it was a very interesting time.
Did she do it?
She did. She
I
really
love it.
did.
Look at that.
Yes, she was the mom at that time that I feel like I always wanted
Wow.
and I always needed her to be. And that's, when people read the book, they're like, "Oh, your mom." And I'm like, I know that you see it in this way that like, how could she do those things to you? But at the same time, she also wanted to be better. I know there was a
Yes.
part of her that
Yes.
wanted to be the mom that she was when I was sick. She
Yes.
wanted that. She couldn't
Yes.
get past herself to do it.
Yes. So
So
the
I'm not,
tragedy gave her an opportunity and you an opportunity to experience that,
yes,
to turn it around.
briefly. Yeah,
Yeah.
briefly. And things we're not as close now as we were for that time where she was
Yeah.
taking care of me, but that was a time for her. It was a little redemption arc, if you
Yeah.
will, for
That's
her.
good.
Yes,
Yeah. I
yes,
get
she
it.
was
That's
able to
nice.
do those things. It was uncomfortable for me, but I think that we both kind of needed it.
What do you feel like your illness was saying? Do you think it was like screaming something?
So I didn't know at the time what all of it meant, right?
Yeah.
And I do think that there are lessons in our challenges, and whether we go back and sit and figure them out or they just present themselves, like mine kind of hit me in the face. I had the meningitis, I lost my fingers, and the doctors, it was great because they were like, you should take Prozac. You should go on to an antidepressant. You've been through a significant trauma, so you could struggle. And I was like, nah, I'm good. I got this. I know what happened. I'm good. And then instead I drank heavily for like 15
Mm.
years
Yes.
instead of,
Right.
popping a Prozac once in a while. Um, so I had a lot of time where I didn't understand or couldn't process what had happened. And I was so angry and hurt by it, not hurt so much, but like sad about everything that happened. Like I had this terrible childhood, and then I had this divorce, and then I had this illness, and now I have six fingers. And,
Right.
I couldn't really integrate all of these things. And then I met my husband and we had my daughter, and I was looking to figure out what I was going to do with my life. Right. I didn't go to college. I didn't have a real career. So we were looking through the community college website for our county, and there was a link for occupational therapy assistant. And it was as if a light bulb just lit up. And oh my gosh, of course that's what I should do, because now I can use what happened to me and my experiences to help other people.
Mm.
And I signed up for the program. I got in, And from the second the professor started talking on the first day, I knew I was supposed to be there.
Wow.
Everything came very easily in the program. I learned very quickly, and I'm still doing that to this day.
Oh,
I actually
awesome.
just
Yeah.
got home from work. I and I know that I'm in the position I'm in now because of what happened to me.
Yeah. That's
So
wonderful.
it made it make sense, right?
Yes.
It gave it a
Yes.
purpose.
Yeah. So um one of the things that now this is just me extrapolating from,
Okay.
because of you use the analogy of the rooms and then going back in the
Mhm.
rooms to heal. So I mentioned, earlier in the bio, I talked about that one of the things I do, and one of the things I do with clients and have my therapist do is to go back. And I also have a guided meditation that takes somebody back to their childhood home. So
Mm,
basically, and going into the room and actually, we have the power, if we have a recurring dream or whatever it is, to go back. And actually, I love what you write, adult eyes, go in with adult eyes, adult perspective, and you can change the actual memory in your body. You're going to know what
yeah.
actually happened, but the experience and the perspective of it, we have the power to change it. Is that
Yes.
what you do? Is that what you did?
Yes, absolutely.
Love it.
I,
Yeah.
I didn't know I was doing it
Yeah.
until
Okay.
after the fact.
Yes.
I looked for every type of trauma healing situation. At
Yeah.
EMDR, can I do hypnotherapy? Can I do a retreat? Like, what can I do to clear my body of this
Yes.
trauma? I read The Body Keeps the Score. I read everything.
Yes.
And I was in therapy and I was journaling and I was meditating. And all of a sudden, as I went through each experience, journaling about it and meditating on it, and I was like, I am changing not what happened, because what happened happened, but
Yes.
I'm changing the perspective of how I'm taking it away, like taking it with me.
Yes.
So what happened in that room with the meningitis, yeah, I was changed by what happened there, but not for the worse. I was changed for the better. I'm a survivor, right? And
Yes.
now I can use this to help other people and pay that forward.
Yes.
And what happened with my mother and all of those experiences had nothing to do with me. Yes, I was in the room, and yes, those things happened, but those were because of rooms that she had never healed and the trauma she was carrying. And I really don't think that she was trying to hurt her children. I don't think she was a monster. I think that she had never healed and was disassociating in her own moments, and it was coming out onto us.
Right.
So, changing that perspective gave me this sense of peace and forgiveness for her that I never in a million years thought I would find.
Mm, lovely.
I've told people, they say, oh, I've forgiven my mother. And for years, I was like, absolutely not. There's no, there's no way. I forget. I'm a mom. How could she do this? And now I'm like,
Yeah.
oh no, I totally get it. I totally get it
Yes.
now.
Yes. And it's the
I
longer
get
we
it.
live, the more we get. It's
Right.
weird, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
I'll tell you, the forgiveness, I think it did more for me than I think it will ever do for her.
Yes.
It gave me a sense of peace.
Yes. So tell us about how I mean, through this transformation, I know you became sober, right? And
Yes.
what was what were I know the meditation and all that. Do you have any defining moments where you just say like this is it, I'm not doing this anymore? Yeah.
Yeah. And it's not the moments that it probably should have been.
Hmm.
So, there were, right. And I think this
I get
happens
it.
to a lot
Yes.
of people. Right?
I
It's not
know.
the really bad, like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that moments. It was um almost an accumulation. And then
Yeah.
I got to a point, I had one night that wasn't even my worst night. And my husband was like, I woke up the next morning, didn't remember what happened, and my husband was asleep in another room. And that walk of shame in your own house just hits differently. And I was so tired of it. And
Mm.
I was so tired of waking up and checking my phone and being embarrassed and carrying all that shame. And I went into the room where my husband was sleeping, and he was clearly disappointed by whatever had happened the night before. And I just told him, I said, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. I just don't. And that was it. I decided that day, and I haven't looked back.
Wow, that's
That,
awesome. You know, I just want
yeah,
to highlight that because just whoever's listening, because one of the things you don't know about me is that one of my degrees is um, I'm a I'm a drug and alcohol counselor as well. So and w- and I have a history of having like uh, forever ago, like an eating disorder. I was hospitalized for it. And it's really the same thing. It's the same exact
yeah,
thing as alcoholism. And
absolutely.
yeah, it's crazy. But one of the things that I've noticed is that, people talk about a bottom. That's why I laughed when you said it's not the day you think it is. It's
Nope.
just that moment. And so many times I've heard people say, and this was my experience, is that you look around. I remember like a friend left my apartment. And when they left, I just looked around and I was like, there is not one person who can do this for me. It's only me.
Hmm.
And I felt
Yeah,
so alone. Like no one's going to help me. Like
yeah,
no one can. And it's the
yeah.
scariest moment. But
But the
then,
hero that you're looking for is you,
yes,
right?
yes. But you
Yeah.
don't feel like a hero, feel unworthy, you
No.
feel like shit. So somehow
Yes.
God's going to call out a hero out of like someone who's
The
terrified.
dust. Yeah,
Yeah. Now,
absolutely. And
yeah, go
oh,
ahead.
go ahead. Oh, I was gonna say, and that's been the story the whole time, right? He always
Yes.
picks the underdog and the one who's like, "Are
Yes.
you kidding me?" And that's the same feeling I had, like even writing the book and the feedback I'm getting on the book, and I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" Like it's still to
Yes.
this day.
Right?
So yeah, but I think the love that we're looking for in other people and other things is the love we're supposed to find in ourselves, and the
Yes.
hero that we're looking for in other people we're supposed to find in ourselves.
Yes.
And yeah, that's 100% what it is.
Yes. And how much time do we spend resisting the thing that we know would help us because we're mad that someone else isn't helping, you know?
Right.
Someone else isn't doing it. Isn't it crazy?
Yeah, fix it for me.
Yeah. There's this like Bible verse. It's not even a verse, it's a story. And I love it because you're saying God always the underdog, right? So
Yeah.
that in Gideon is like hiding, he's terrified. And then God wants him to go fight the biggest army that's ever been with like, I don't know, a toothpick or something, like with nothing.
Right.
And
Right. Like,
and
go get him,
God
kid.
goes, mighty man of valor is what he calls him. And meanwhile,
While
he's
he's like
terrified,
trembling.
hiding in like a cave, in like
Yeah.
a wine press. So it's like that's us. Like we're like like the whole idea, like awaken the giant within, right?
Mm-hmm.
So anyhow,
Yeah.
let's keep going, girl. April, let's hear more. So that
Yes.
so how did you move forward from there? Was it just over? Was it just done?
It was just done.
Yeah.
I knew that if I was going to say it, that I wasn't going to do it anymore. I needed to just I had tried moderation. I had tried, I'm only going to drink on the weekends, or I'm only going to have three, and then that's it. And, that usually followed a rough night. And then the further I got from that incident, I would slip back in a little bit more and a little bit more. And I'm surrounded by drinkers. Everyone I know can drink normally, quote unquote. And so I always thought that what I was doing was normal, and it just wasn't. So the more I started to look at it and how it was affecting my friendships and my daughter and my husband, and I just couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah.
I just couldn't do it. So it helped that I started therapy right away,
Mhm.
and I did go to one AA meeting, and I know that it's like, I feel like that's saying like I tried on one pair of shoes and I didn't like them, so now I go barefoot. So I went to one AA
Did you
meeting and I
read
was
my
like,
mind? No, just kidding. I'm just
I
kidding. I love
was
the
like,
12-step program, but it doesn't, it's fine. It's,
yeah, there's this
yeah.
one particular meeting I went
Yes.
to, and I was like, this isn't for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, there probably is one out there that would be great for me,
Yeah.
but I just couldn't find it in that
Yeah.
one space that I went to. So I went online and I was like, there's got to be something else because I needed there to be joy in sobriety. And the
Yeah.
room I went to, there was no joy in that
Oh,
room.
yeah. I don't like that. Yeah.
So no, I
I
couldn't
get
do
it.
that. So I found the Sober Girls Guide, which is they have an online group and you meet a few times a week whenever you want. Like you pop into any of their meetings and they have like a chat online and you connect with people and it's all women
I love
and
that.
it's
I
beautiful.
don't
It's
even
the
know
most
about
beautiful.
this.
Oh, it's
How do I
so
not know
great.
this?
I don't know because it's so great. It's
So
run by
now I
Jessica
know.
Jabot. Yeah, Jessica Jabot. She's in Vancouver and she's wonderful and she runs the whole thing. I will send you all the details. It's
Oh,
so good.
good. Yes.
And so I started going to meetings on there and that was my people. So between that and therapy and meditation and really starting to deal with my crap, like going back and
Yeah.
really starting to heal my traumas, that just kept pushing me forward.
Yes.
And just everything I cleared up and everything I started to work through just made me feel lighter and more grounded. And I had more clarity. And all of those feelings that I wasn't enough and I had no value were getting like smaller and smaller and smaller. And I was
Yes.
like, I absolutely have value.
I love
And
that.
I'm not in the way and I'm not a burden. And so as I healed those feelings, everything, my belief system about myself started to change.
It's so good. And I did read in your bio about you becoming a Reiki chick. And
Yes,
yeah, so is that part of it as well? Like clearing
yes.
out your energy? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes, I do.
Mm-hmm.
I do Reiki on myself. I do occasionally on other people. I have actually behind me my little
Yeah,
Reiki
I
table.
see it.
But yeah, that's something I incorporate in my meditations. And
Mm,
I feel when you clear your chakras and you can
yes.
clear that negative energy and replace it with the positive energy, it just it's such a like it's so hard to explain, but it's like
Yes.
you have static electricity in your body
Yes.
all the
Yeah.
time, and this just stabilizes it. It
Yeah.
clears the energy. It's so good.
It's funny. My daughter, uh, uh, I this is public, so I'm just saying it. I hope she doesn't get mad at me, but um, so I booked her a Reiki session, right? And this
Hmm.
woman, I just love her, and uh, booked her one, and she came back and she goes, "Do you know that I got more out of that Reiki session than I have out of 4 years of therapy?" And I'm like,
You're like,
"Okay,
oh
let's
crap.
let's fire the therapist, and you can go to her once a week." Like, and it's
Oh,
funny because
that's
I'm a
so
therapist,
funny.
right? But
Yeah.
just plain like just talk therapy, somebody who doesn't have like insight into energy and like the power
Hmm.
of our mind, that can make it so that you're just kind of spinning your wheels and staying in
Yeah.
like a label, right?
Well, that's how I felt about trying to solve these traumas, right? Solve or
Yeah.
heal or revisit and make sense of these or integrate these traumas. And finding one path forward wasn't going to work because I'd
Yeah.
done talk therapy and I'd done meditation, I've done Reiki, and I've done all of these things and nothing alone helped.
Yeah.
But when I started to put it all together, that's when I saw the difference. So I don't think that just talk therapy is going
Mhm.
to work on its
Yeah.
own. Because I don't know if you read The Body Keeps the Score, but your
Yes.
your
Yeah.
brain, right, it protects
Yeah.
you from your
Yes.
traumas. So
Yes.
I was going to therapy and I was like, yeah, let me tell you about my trauma and no emotion whatsoever.
Yes.
And then when I started to really meditate into it, that's when the emotion finally came to. And then the journaling's huge because
Mhm.
journaling is like therapy without performance, right?
Yes.
I don't have to pretend like I know what I'm talking about or, I
Yeah.
perform in therapy. I'm like, I know why I did this. I don't do that in my journal. In my journal, I'm like, you disaster.
You don't know better than me.
Yeah, exactly. And I think a lot of people do that, or they're like,
Yeah.
oh, I can't tell you this. Like, this
Right.
is super secret. But in your journal, oh,
Yes.
uh, all hell could break loose. And I've had
Yes.
more insights in journaling because I think we do know a lot of the things that we're trying to get out of
You do.
therapy or we're trying to get out of this process. We know a lot of the answers. We just need to access it.
Yeah.
So between the therapy and the journaling and the meditation and the Reiki and all these things, I was able to start really bringing things together. But I don't think any one of them alone could have worked. And I don't think I could have made the progress I did had I still been drinking.
Yes.
Because I think
Yes.
on top of that, I needed the clarity and I needed to stop adding things to heal from. Like stop
Yeah.
adding shameful moments
Yes.
to the
Yes.
file. I was
Yes.
like, I'm never gonna get through this inbox. Like it was
Yes.
too much. Yes.
Yeah. It's funny, not haha funny, but journaling, like to me, like if you think about it, and it just came to me, but I think you and I both know this, like the highest vibration is truth. The highest, right? And it's like,
Yeah.
so that's why that journaling, like when you can just be raw and just tell the truth, that's it.
Yeah.
Like it's the
Yeah.
pathway to all freedom, right? So it's
Yes.
like, yeah, I love,
And being honest with yourself,
yes,
right?
yes,
Yeah.
yes. And
Yeah.
without judgment, you know,
Hmm.
just, when you have
Yeah.
a person you could just tell anything to, it's just,
Yes. Oh, it's the best.
yeah, it is really incredible, isn't it? It's like there's no
Yeah.
closer, greater love than that, right?
Yeah.
And
And if you're not, again, like going back to like finding that hero in yourself, like that's that person you also need in yourself, right? You
yes,
need that person you can be honest with. Like I need to be honest with me. And
yes.
like these are the places I struggle. These are the reasons I struggle. Like I I may be mad about this situation, but then when I'm journaling about it, I'll find a different perspective and be like, oh no, I'm the asshole in this situation. Right?
Every time.
Every time.
And you learn
Like,
to love it
damn
and
it.
accept it, right?
Yes. And I could like see a completely different perspective. Be like, ah,
Yeah.
crap. All right. I did it again.
But don't you feel like, it's like the idea and we'll do the thing, whatever it is. But then when we can't forgive ourselves or we can't make light of it, like you're
Hmm.
laughing about it because it's like
Yeah.
normal to mess things up. It's normal not to be great all the time, right?
Yeah.
And
Yes.
and I think we try so hard to not show that, but nobody likes somebody who's perfect. Like, do you? Like, I
Oh,
like you so
no,
much
it's
because you're
so
down to
annoying.
earth. That's what I like
Yes.
about you just here. I feel like I could be your friend, like, because you're
Yes.
just normal and not perfect, right? Yeah.
Same. Right.
Thank you. So, you know what I was thinking also, like, one of the things I do say, it's in line with what you're talking about, that there's so many avenues for healing. And I talk about this here, like as a business owner, I tell people like a lot of times there's a problem, whatever it is. And then it'll be like, well, here's a solution. It's like, no, that won't work because it's more than one solution. There's always a
Yeah.
solution. It's just sometimes there's 10. So you just
Exactly.
break it up and plus we're not just biology. We're not just, cognitions and emotions. We're so many things, energy, light. But if we
Hmm.
address all of it, right, then
Yes.
that's really the full healing, I think. Right?
Yes. And getting to the root of your belief system and
Yes.
all of those things and your experiences have led you down this path of what are your values? Like all of that creates a person.
Hmm.
Everything you're
Yes.
saying, all of that. It's
Yeah.
right. We're not just, well, this is therapy is the best way for everyone, or journaling is the best way for everyone, or, whatever, ketamine therapy is the best way
Yeah.
for everyone, or whatever it is.
Right.
But I also think that each situation I went back to took a different amount of each modality.
Mm.
So, some experiences, I got a lot more clarity in talk therapy.
Mm.
And some experiences, I got a lot more clarity by being of service at work,
Yeah.
being there for other people and being part of their healing. So I think it takes a lot of different modalities.
Yeah. You know
They're
what's
all
cool? It's
different.
like being in the frequency of healing, being in
Yes.
the frequency of, this is the challenge of me becoming, exactly what I'm meant to be, right? I just
Hmm.
want to ask, when you went back to like, let's say your younger years, um, how did you shift your belief? I understand you had to get to the heart of what it was that you actually really believed, right? And
Yes.
then, so can you just walk us through like just, one, like, did you go into the moment in the room?
Yeah,
Yeah.
literally the moment in the room.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what I do. Yeah.
Figuratively into the room, right? Because I can't go back. They've sold the house long since, so I can't
I mean, in your mind.
right go back
Yeah.
home. But yeah, I literally will sit and meditate on the room. I don't recommend anyone just kick the door open and go sit in a room because I'm sure you can attest that can be very re-traumatizing.
Yes.
But I did that in steps because the first time I did that meditating, I was shaking.
Yeah.
It was scary. I was
Yeah.
scared. I was
Hmm.
that little girl again.
Yes. Hmm.
And so I kind of had to pull back and I did a lot of journaling about it then and talking about it. And so you can kind of come at it at a lot of different ways.
Yes.
And then that taking it piece by piece, almost like, okay, I can see the room. I know who's in there and I know that something happened there. And then, journaling about, okay, I did have that blue carpet. Oh, remember the nail polish stain on that right side over there by the bed. And,
Yeah.
pieces of the room that aren't that specific experience. So
Mm.
taking a situation and a room in bite-sized pieces until you're more comfortable, almost like exposure therapy, till
Yes.
you're more comfortable being in that space and then going into the moment that was so hard.
Yeah.
So once I was able to really go back in that way, piece by piece, I had more I had more capability to sit in that space. Does
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
make sense?
You know what? I'll tell you, it makes so much sense. It's very, very smart. You really, it's really, really wise what you did. Um, yeah, really cool. One of the things that I've done, and it is I would do, like, let's say I was with a client or even myself. I would
Mhm.
say, like, let's just look at this big screen on the wall over here. And if we were
Yeah.
watching an event like that, but with another child, like we're just watching this kind of play out, what do you think you and I would feel? Right?
Yeah.
Kind of, and
Like
like
dipping your
that.
toe into the experience, right?
Yeah. Like we're both
Yeah.
looking at it. And then if they're like numb, just like I say, well, what do you think I think of it? Just like to take it away from them and just like, what do you think I'm thinking when I see
Yes.
that guy, that dad yelling at a kid because they don't know how to do their math, whatever.
Right.
So and it's almost like I've seen it almost be like magic. Like I
Right.
had a
Because you
guy go
probably
in,
can't,
yeah,
yeah, you
and he
can't
was
feel
just
it for
never the
yourself,
same.
right? Yeah.
What?
Because you probably can't feel it for yourself if you go back to like where your brain is protecting you,
Yeah,
where you can't get mad at the situation because your brain has protected you from the incident that you had. But you're looking at someone else's incident, and I can get mad for
yeah,
that guy and that kid. So
right.
it probably does integrate that feeling
Yeah.
in that way, right?
Yeah,
Oh,
and
that's
also
so,
like they go in and protect the child and speak. It's like in
oh,
internal family systems. Like now
yeah,
you have your protector part as a kid who there's all different parts, right? So
right.
then we have this adult who comes in and and in a very diplomatic way makes the other adult not treat the child that way.
Yeah.
You know?
And I love that. And that's
Yeah.
when I went back to like specifically that room where that happened with my mother, when I was able to go and sit finally in that room in a calm way, I could sit with that younger version of myself and hold her and say
Wow.
to that little girl, like, I'm so sorry. This wasn't your fault. And you
Mm.
should have been safe and you're loved and you're okay now. And when
Mm.
I tell you, like, I could have told that story of what happened to me in that room 100 times before and
Yeah.
never felt anything.
Yeah.
Now, when I tell that story, there's emotion because I feel like that memory has now been integrated into who I am now. And I'm
Yeah.
not protecting myself anymore because I know I'm here now and I'm safe. So I kind of brought her forward.
I love that.
And it's going to sound absolutely insane, but it's beautiful that I can feel now
Yeah.
that situation
Yes.
because I don't feel it the same way as I did back then because I'm not in
Right.
that room. I'm 47 years old,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
I think that we protect ourselves from feeling it like that, but that's not how it's going to feel when you get it back.
Yes. Yeah. That's such a great point. Such a
It,
beautiful, beautiful, beautiful story. And the way, the way that you communicate is really, It's cool because
Yeah.
it's so down to earth, but it's also really intelligent. Like
Oh, thank you.
it is like really wise. Like I can hear you, I'm sure you can help a lot of people. Do you
I
do
hope
that?
so.
Wrote your
I
book.
hope that I wrote the book.
Yeah.
I again, I had said to you before, like I didn't necessarily think I was writing a formula for healing,
Yes.
right? I sat down to write my story of what happened to me in my life because there's so many different it's the word trauma has been just like thrown around to where like trauma doesn't mean trauma anymore.
Yes.
But I've had so many significant traumas in my life that or hurtful experience, I don't know what word we're using now, but to replace trauma, that I feel like even if you don't see yourself in most of the chapters of my book, there is probably an experience that I went through that you see yourself in
Yes.
because of how much is there. So while I thought I was just telling my story, it turns out that people get to pick it up and see themselves and see how much I was able to heal and change and move forward. And it's bringing them to that same place. I
Yes.
get phone calls and instant messages and all this from
Yeah.
people that are like, I can't believe the rooms that I haven't thought of in years or I've never
Wow.
told anyone about that I'm able to go
Yes.
back to now. There was a
Love
woman at
that.
a networking event
Yeah.
that asked me about my book and I told her I was like, "Oh, it's the room to be brave and about the rooms that I had gone back to that I needed to heal from." And she just her whole demeanor changed and she goes, "Oh, there's a green couch." And that's all it took was for me to explain
Immediately.
to her
Yes.
the the concept. And you could see her go into the room in that
Wow.
moment.
Yes.
And it was, and I'm, it's so funny because you're like, it's so smart. And I go, I didn't actually, I don't think I created any of this. I think it just kind of came through me
Yeah. Yeah.
because
Mhm.
I think it needed to be out there. So I'm just so, I'm humbled by the whole experience
It's really
and about the
beautiful.
feedback.
Yeah.
It's very
And
humbling.
just those there's not anyone who hasn't felt, and it could be, and when we're little, the feelings like a feeling of not belonging, feeling of, that, feeling abandoned by your parent or
Mhm.
somebody, even if it wasn't as extreme, like physically as your
Right.
experience, like for a little person, it's huge because
Yeah.
it's like when mom's gone, or maybe mom doesn't love me, or maybe dad, or they're
Yeah.
fighting. There's so many people who they're living their whole lives based on what they believe their parents felt about them. Like
Yes,
that,
absolutely.
right? So,
Yes. And you carry that with you. Right.
yes. So I am going to ask everyone who's listening to please purchase this book. We're going to have every single one of April's, you know, contact stuff
All
in
my
there.
linky stuff.
Yes, in the show notes. But also, like, I want to ask you a question. What do
Yes.
you wish that I had asked you?
That's such a good question. So there are a lot of experiences that I want to say I overcame, right? Where for so long I thought I had just been survive or I thought I had been overcoming, but turns out I was just surviving through them. And one in particular is where everything collided and became this overwhelming sense of doom and dread. And this was such a big turning point for me. So let's say you asked that what finally was the big turn for you that you decided you needed to heal, right?
Right.
And it was a few years back, actually, was like the beginning of this journey. And I had a broken hip. It was post COVID. I had been in the hospital with COVID in March of 2020. I had a lot of medical issues leading up to it, and I feel like I had lost my identity. I
Yeah.
used to run, I used to hike, I used to go to the gym. I used to work out twice a day.
Yeah.
And I was on my couch. I couldn't even walk. I was on crutches and I had just recovered from COVID and been on oxygen. Like had all these things that had changed the way I saw myself and all of those feelings of being a burden and being and having no value just bubbled straight up to the surface. And I sat on my couch in my living room, and my family went to bed, and I just started drinking. And I drank, when I talk about bottom, this should have been it. Uh, I drank to quiet the noise
Mm.
that was happening in my head, but it was like the faster the drinks came, the faster the noise came.
Mm.
And the noise got to be, you're too much of a burden, and your family would be better off without you. The world would be better off without you. And what do you basically, it was to the point where I was like, you're a piece of shit. Like, what's the point of you anymore? And that was the darkest night of my life. I did go in to say goodnight to my husband, and I had no memory from the couch to the bed. And I said to him, I said, I gave him a kiss, and I said, babe, I love you. And I got to tell you, I either took all of the Xanax or none of it, but I don't remember. So good night. And I went to bed. And my poor husband, God bless him, shot out of bed and went, and he looked, and I hadn't, thank God, it was divine intervention that I hadn't taken anything.
Okay.
I must have had the thought and then went to bed instead. Divine intervention. So the next morning, my husband sent me to the hospital, smart man. And I saw the psychiatrist there, and I laid on a gurney for 8 hours with nothing. Like, they take everything. They take your underwear, they take your phone, they take literally everything, except I had crutches. So that was the only thing I had left. And I laid in silence for 8 hours. And
Wow.
it was in that, the chaos of that room, the emergency room, and all that noise, that I finally found this peace and this silence. And I realized I did, there was no part of me that wanted to die.
Mm.
What I needed was a fucking minute. Sorry, I don't know. Can I say that on here?
Yeah, it's fine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, go.
I just needed a fucking minute,
Yes.
right? Like, it had all become too much, and I didn't think I could clear my head, and I just needed silence. So it wasn't that I needed the end, right?
Right.
Because here I am, a few years later, thriving, honestly.
Right.
And thank God that I went the direction that I did that night, because I just needed peace, and I needed a moment to collect my thoughts. And the tools that I used that are in the book, the meditation, the journaling, the therapy, the Reiki, finding my joy, being of service, all of these things have replaced that sense of dread, and they have
Yeah.
cleared that sense of noise and chaos in my brain and in my body.
Mhm.
So that was really the biggest pivotal moment. And I think, the more I share that with people, that it can look really bleak, but I think if you could just take a moment rather than see the depths and that's all, just
Yes.
take the moment, find the peace, and move forward, because it gets so much better than that. And I feel
Yes.
like, thank God I ended up where I did,
Yes. Thank God.
right? Thank God.
I'm so glad that you told that story because I want anyone who, is listening today that could, who is even thinking thoughts like, that people would be better off without you, or, that your life has no meaning. And what happens, and I talk about this a lot, you see it in my reels, but people who get to that point, it's kind of like it's like a friend of mine who wrote a book, Fear Gone Wild, and it's like a suicide brain, and
Mm,
it's like a takeover of the mind,
yeah,
and it's like it eclipses all the good. You can't see good, and it's there, but you can't see it,
yeah.
and it's like an eclipse of the sun, of the light,
I
and
like that
so
saying.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
exactly what it is, because you
yeah,
literally can't see anything else. And now, being on the other side of it, I have resources and I have tools. And so when things
yes,
get hard, because life is not easy for
right,
me now, like,
right.
there are a lot of things, I'm struggling with other things now, but I have tools and techniques to find my joy and to ground.
Hmm.
And even if everything else looks awful, I have breath. right? So
Yes.
even my breath is where I can find a piece of joy. And even
Yes.
if tiny grain of sand of joy, but the more of those you collect, you end up with, diamonds and beaches. And those tiny grains of sand could be as small as I'm breathing through this moment. I can
Yes.
still feel my feet on the floor, right? And so I feel like putting your joy and your faith and your hope in other people is a recipe for disaster. But having that sense for yourself and that grounding that's all I needed that day. I had no
Yes.
underwear. I had nothing else. I had my breath.
Yes. Your
That's
breath.
it.
Yes.
That's all
It's
I had.
when you say, I'm glad you said that too, having our hope in other people or our despair in other people. Because a lot of people who will comment, on my Instagram about how no one loves me anyhow.
Mm,
So to me, yeah, right. So when
yeah.
there's this eclipse and you feel you have no worth, there's a lot of reasons that you got there, that you feel like
Yes.
you have no worth. You don't feel like you belong. You don't feel like you have any value. But your breath says you have value. We're here
Yeah.
for a reason. But I always say I'm going to butcher this quote. I wish I wasn't going to, but I think it's from I'm not even sure who it's from. I don't even want to say it because I'm afraid. But it's such a great quote. It says, most people base most of their lives on circumstance. And then he says, what is it? Who says that? Oscar Wilde.
Oh,
But anyhow, so he says,
maybe.
I don't believe in circumstance. If I come across a circumstance that doesn't work, I make my own circumstances. And it's
Yes.
like, so we are very, very conditioned to believe that everything around us is the determining factor of our value, of our worth, where our
Right.
life is going. And it's the farthest thing from the truth because
Right. And that's
those are all movable.
right. And that's
Right.
all your perspective too, right? Like you
Yes.
could look at me on that gurney in the ER as
Yeah.
this bleak, dark moment.
Right.
I don't see it that way at all. I see that as a turning point of hope.
Yes.
So there's so many ways that you can look at your life. And
Yeah.
it's just like there's so many solutions to a problem. There are so many perspectives. And if you're only looking at, well, I don't have this and I wish I had that, and well, that's your perspective on things, you're
Hmm.
going to feel lack of, right?
Yes.
You're going to feel loss rather than
Yes.
looking forward to the hope and the joy and all of those things.
I follow this practice. It's from I hear it from like Kabbalah, but
Mm,
it's like I do not leave anywhere I am or my house or anywhere with lack. So, I'm going to today, all that I need is within me now. So if I'm going out to get or to, find or to, that kind of panicked, I got to find a feeling or I got to find a
yes.
person or a solution that's searching, but to walk out like very grounded, there is no lack within me now. And
Yeah.
he talks about do not leave your house with lack. So I'll stand at the door and I'll go, and I just assess it. I'm like, is there lack within me? Usually you can find it. I'm just
Yeah.
like,
If you look hard
yeah, you know
enough,
what?
right?
Actually, I am looking for something. I got about three things I want, today. I want them to do. And then I go, okay, let
Right.
me recenter. There is no lack within me. I am leaving with, like solidity, right? Full.
Yeah. I
Isn't that
love that.
cool? Yeah. Such a
I love
good
that.
practice. Yes. So,
Yes,
yes.
absolutely. I love it. I love it.
Yes. And I really love you. I think you're
Oh, I
fantastic.
love
You have
you
such a good
too.
energy.
This
Yes.
was so fun. We should do this
Yes.
all the time.
Yes. And you know what? Honestly, I would love to have you come back because you have so much to offer and give. And
Oh,
if I am ever like going to be like hosting an event, I'm going to have you come speak.
oh, I would
So,
love that. Thank
yes.
you.
Yes.
Yes. And
So,
since we're
yeah,
like
go
20
ahead.
minutes away from each other, we need to have coffee.
Oh, yes, we're so close. Can you
We're
believe this?
neighbors.
We're like going to be fast friends. Okay.
Yes, I'm excited.
Yes. I'm actually going to Florida tomorrow, but I
Oh,
shouldn't tell the
fun.
whole world this. So,
No,
yeah.
no. You edit that part out.
Okay.
My home will be empty.
Yes. So I just want to thank you so much for being on the show. Is there any last
Thank
words you
you.
want to say to the audience or anything? burning desire you want to throw
Um,
out there?
no, just, I mean, in all things, be brave.
Oh,
Just be brave.
just be brave.
Just be
And
brave.
where can they find you? Everywhere,
Oh,
you know?
absolutely. I
Mm-hmm.
am, my website is aprildaygarcia.com, and I'm at the Room to Be Brave on social media. The book is on Amazon, but it's also on barnesandnoble.com. And if you're on Long Island, it is at the Book Place in Riverhead. So
Lovely.
that, yeah, so
Okay.
you could find it all over.
Yes. So everybody, I want to strongly suggest that you like, follow, subscribe, buy this great woman's book because I mean, clearly there's value. Clearly.
Thank you.
And it could
I'm
change anyone's
excited.
life. You don't
Yes.
have to be in trauma, but open the book and you're going to find all the shit that's inside that you didn't know was there, which is
Yep.
good.
You're
Yes.
like, oh crap, I forgot about those rooms. And then reach out. I read everyone's messages. I love to
Yes.
hear how people are affected. So please send me a message if you read the book. I would love to hear what people
Yeah. And
think.
share this episode with somebody who you think it would be a value for, anybody who's struggling or is actually, teenagers who are in those rooms right now. And it's not bad enough for CPS to come, but
Ugh,
it's hard to grow there, so
yeah,
sometimes these podcasts can be really helpful for them. Okay.
absolutely.
I honor you and I thank you. And it's a wrap.